Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to the next episode of my adventures in role-playing. And today I'm going to tell you the tale of Bixby Pidgel, a character of mine that I had a very interesting time playing. So, back in the year 1991-92, I was living in Guelph, Ontario with my brother, and I was playing D&D with a bunch of guys. And the one guy was really big into the Forgotten Realms, and he was the GM. So this is the first time I really made a true Forgotten Realms-based character. So I decided on the lark I was going to play a gnome. Not a lot of people like to play gnomes because, they're gnomes, right? Whatever. So I was playing a gnome, and I decided to play a cleric. And then to make it interesting, I decided to play a cleric of Selune, which is the goddess of the moon. And in order to explain why I was playing a goddess of the moon, basically the way it was described is that Bixby, as a young man, had basically got a desire to go on a walkabout and went traveling the world and became a navigator on a boat. Being a navigator on a boat, he spends his time using his tools to check the stars and make certain that we're going the way that we're supposed to. And on one of these particular evenings, he was up looking at the moon in all of its glory, and basically had a religious moment, epiphany, what you want to call it. So he left the sailing thing and became a priest in the world of Selune's world. So that was his backstory. So so the premise of the adventure that we were going through is that there was about 5 or 6 of us. One of the characters was a Sverneblin. One of the characters was an elven spell thief. There was another rogue in the party, and then there was a couple of fighters and wizards. There must have been a wizard in there somewhere. Anyways, we're going up against Shar, so makes sense. Selune, Shar, makes sense. So Shar has some evil artifact that she's trying to make use of that'll give her some influence over wherever. So fun and dandy. So the party goes into the sewers of this town. I can't even remember if it was Waterdeep or not. I don't think it was, but I'm not entirely certain. We're going down through the sewers, and we basically get our butts handed to us. And we're literally on death's door, or very, very weak. We don't have a lot of hit points. We don't have a lot of this. And the party decides to retreat, and I begrudgingly go with them because this is our one night where we have to finish this activity. And if we don't finish it, then Shar will have succeeded. So we go back to the place, and I'm arguing, guys, we need to go back. We need to stop this. And the rest of the party's like, no, we won't survive. And he goes, I don't care. That's not the point. This is a calling of my God. I need to do this. And the reason that this is significant to me in my role-playing time is that this is the one time where I was able to understand the character outside of me. So I wasn't playing me playing the character. I was playing a character. I was actually in the mindset of a gnomish priest of Selune, trying to prevent the powers of Shar from doing something that would cause, Shar to hurt or whatever. So, what ends up happening is, they had the fighter sitting out the door to prevent me from, leaving my room. I cast Hold Person on the guy, and then I took off. And the party went, oh shit. And they realized I'd taken off because the fighter watched me go by. So the fighter follows me, gets the party to follow me. We end up going to the big bad. We win the final battle through circumstance, luck, fortune, whatever. Anyways, and the GM thanks me for actually, going, following the story, that way. And I thought that was really, really cool. So here's where it falls apart. Because here's where people are playing their characters, and it breaks the system. So we've taken this artifact that Shar is trying to use, and we've taken it back to the Temple of Selune, and it's locked up in the vault in the Temple of Selune. And as I made mention earlier, we had a Sverneblin, a Elven Spell Thief, and a Human Rogue, who all decide, the way they argued it is, let's test the security of the place, because in the event that Shar decides to come and steal, we want to make certain that they can't. All I know is that I get called out of my room after, praying and reflecting on the fact that we've had this successful mission, and this is what I'm approached with. I'm approached with the fact that the Sverneblin is nowhere to be seen, because of course Sverneblins have the ability to hide in plain sight. We have the Elven spell thief and the other are captured, and there's one unconscious soldier of Selune and another one who's missing an arm. And we're like, what the hell happened? And yeah, they gave this excuse. Well, we were just testing, and I'm like, you're a spell thief. The odds of you actually testing it for, altruistic means are probably slim and none. So that was the day that Bixby left the party. He said, screw it, I'm buggering off. I can't trust you guys anymore because you've broken my trust. We did this great thing and we went to my temple and you desecrated my temple by trying to prove something to somebody, and I don't even know who or what. So yeah, so Bixby up and packed and away he went. And again, it's an example of my character being my character and not me. Because typically when you play D&D, you find excuses to stay with the party or excuses to game or to make the party work. But there are times where your character and the party just don't work. As my brother used to often say, if you actually looked at the 6 people in the TV show Friends, other than the fact that they were forced to live together, they would honestly have nothing to do with each other because they shouldn't. So it's the same kind of thing with a D&D party. Sometimes, for the sake of proper storytelling, your character maybe shouldn't be there. And that was a very interesting thing, because that was one of the first times I was able to fully embrace taking a character's mindset and adopting it and using it and not having to worry about my own. So that to me was a really, really strong role-playing event. And in mind with that, there was an event probably about 10, 15 years later, playing 3.5 edition D&D. I had a party and we're running the campaign. And we had a guy who had joined the campaign, and he had a gnomish artificer, I think it was. Like, he was a very interesting multi-class character. Anyways, so we were doing something in some town, and he was chasing somebody on his winged mechanical bat, and something was happening, and the psionicist that we had in the party used some power, and he somehow accidentally got in the way, and he got hurt, or his familiar died. I think it was his familiar died. I think his familiar was accidentally killed by this circumstance. And a familiar being very, very important to somebody, he took umbrage. So for some reason, this turned out to be a court case, whereby he took her to court to basically ask for reparations for the fact that he lost his familiar. Now, at the time, it seemed like a cool concept, so I ran with it as the GM. And it was the one D&D session where not a single die was rolled. We had a 2.5 hour of D&D, and we didn't roll dice. It was all character and story and various things. So the way it was set up is that we had gone to the School of Magic from which he became, and we went to the school, and we were basically having the court there because for some reason it was considered to be neutral ground or somehow involved in the story. But what I had done is that, to make it a little bit more interesting, is that the psionicist technically had escaped her master, owner, whatever, and while she's in the court, sitting in the courtroom, there is a bounty hunter who happens to have a special chain and collar, which is specifically used to dampen psionic's power. So anybody who's ever read the Wheel of Time, it's the collar that's used to prevent the Aes Sedai from using their magic that the Seanchan have. Anybody who doesn't know what that is, Wikipedia it. So the person who's now playing the psionicist is terrified, because it's like if she, that she could end up being back in someone else's slave. And that was not good. So there was a lot of tension there, and it was very interesting. We tried to follow the court case properly and all this stuff. And it turns out at the end, basically, it was dismissed because it was non-intentional. It was completely accidental, and it was a risk that was known and assumed by everybody. So, whatever. But as I said, it was a really neat session because we all just sat there and we just had a 2.5 hour storytelling discussion, and it was great. Now, in hindsight, some of it seems a little not artificial, but manufactured, or maybe it could have been handled slightly differently. But I think it was really neat, and it was a cool event that the party basically fulfilled. So these are just examples of when role-playing goes good, or role-playing is good. As I said, being able to play the character, not yourself playing the character, and being able to have an entire session without rolling a single die. So those are just memorable events that I had amongst myriad number of role-playing throughout the ages. So we'll leave it at that. If you want to contact me and tell me I'm a bullshitter or whatever, just email me at ratnef, RATENEF @gmail.com, and we'll talk again soon.